It started with a phone call 6 months ago. My cousin Lila, all sugary sweetness, asked if I could help out with her dream wedding. Venue, catering, flowers, the works. She knew I'd done well for myself, and apparently that made me the family ATM. I agreed, not because I wanted to, but because I thought it'd keep the peace. I wired $25,000 to her account, set up a payment plan for the vendors, and even covered the deposit for a fancy vineyard venue. All in, I was on the hook for nearly $50,000. Then the invitation list came out. My name wasn't on it. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I called Lila. No answer. Texted her mom, my aunt. Radio silence. Finally, her fiancé, Greg, sent me a curt message. We had to keep it small, family only, you get it. Family only? I'm her cousin. I've known her since we were kids sneaking cookies from Grandma's jar, but apparently I wasn't family enough for a seat at the open bar, though my bank account was plenty welcome. The sting wasn't just the exclusion, it was the audacity. They didn't even have the decency to tell me up front. I found out through a group chat I wasn't supposed to be in, where Lila was gushing about her perfect guest list. My name was nowhere. My money, though, still funding the champagne toasts. I could have called, screamed, made a scene, but that's not me. I'm not loud. I'm deliberate. So I did what I do best. I took control. Step 1. I logged into the vendor accounts I'd set up. The caterer, the florist, the venue, all tied to my email, my credit card, my name. Lila and Greg hadn't bothered to change the contact info. Why would they? They assumed I'd keep paying like a good little silent partner. I froze every payment, canceled the auto transfers, locked the accounts with new passwords. Then I sent a polite email to each vendor. Due to unforeseen circumstances, funding for this event is on hold. Please contact the couple for further details. The next morning, my phone was a war zone. 93 missed calls, 50 from Lila, 20 from Greg, a dozen from my aunt, and the rest from random numbers, probably vendors or their frantic wedding planner. Voicemails piled up, starting with confusion, then panic, then rage. Lila's first message was a teary, "Why would you do this to us?" Greg's was less polite. "You're screwing us over, you jealous jerk." My aunt tried guilt. "This isn't how family behaves." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The chaos was my response. By noon, the group chat was ablaze. Lila was begging someone to fix this because the venue was threatening to cancel. Greg was blaming Lila for not inviting me. My aunt was promising to make it right. Too late. The florist had already pulled out. The caterer demanded a new deposit. The vineyard sent a formal notice. No payment, no wedding. I sipped my coffee and watched the implosion. Did I feel bad? A little. But mostly, I felt free. They'd taken my money, my trust, and my dignity, assuming I'd roll over. They were wrong. That evening, Lila showed up at my door, mascara streaked, begging for forgiveness. "We didn't mean to hurt you," she sobbed. "We just had to cut the list somewhere." I nodded, calm as ever. "I cut something too," I said. "Your budget." Her face crumpled. She offered to add me to the guest list, to make me a VIP, to fix everything. I told her the only fix was a full refund of what I'd already paid. She didn't have it. Neither did Greg, so I made a deal. I'd release the funds, but only after a public apology, in the group chat, to every vendor, and to me, in person. They agreed, humiliated but desperate. The wedding went ahead, scaled down, no vineyard, no fancy florals. Just a backyard with borrowed chairs and a potluck. My phone's quiet now. The family's still whispering, but I don't care. They learned a lesson. You don't invite my money without inviting me. And me? I learned I'm worth more than their guest list. The backyard wedding came and went. A shadow of Lila's Pinterest-perfect vision. No vineyard, no cascading floral arches, just folding chairs and a potluck spread that screamed last minute. The family group chat, once a battlefield, went quiet. My phone stopped buzzing. The apologies, stiff, public, and dripping with resentment, had been made. I'd released just enough funds to keep the vendors from suing, but not enough to restore Lila and Greg's dream. They got their I do's in a patchy lawn ceremony, and I got my $25,000 back, minus a few thousand, for the bare bones event. Fair trade, I thought. but family doesn't let grudges die that easily, and neither, it turns out, does Lila. A month later, I was trying to move on. My apartment felt like a sanctuary again. No missed calls, no tearful voicemails. I was back to my routine: work, gym, the occasional takeout splurge. Then I got an email from my aunt. Subject line: family meeting. It was an invitation, but not the kind you frame. More like a summons. "We need to discuss what happened," it read. "For healing." The word healing felt like a trap, but curiosity got the better of me. I RSVP'd, yes, mostly to see how they'd spin this. The meeting was at my aunt's house, a 2-hour drive to the suburbs. I pulled up to her cul-de-sac, where every house looked like it was competing for a Better Homes and Gardens cover. Inside, the air was thick with tension. My aunt, Uncle Dan, Lila, Greg, and a few other relatives sat around a dining table set with coffee and passive aggression. Lila wouldn't meet my eyes. Greg glared like I'd stolen his car, not just his open bar. My aunt started with a speech about family unity and moving forward. I sipped my coffee and waited for the real agenda. It came fast. Lila stood clutching a notebook like it was a shield. "I want to clear the air," she said, voice shaky but rehearsed. "What you did, it ruined my wedding. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and you turned it into a nightmare." Her eyes welled up, but I wasn't buying the tears. I'd seen her cry on command to get out of chores as kids. Greg chimed in. "You didn't just hurt us, you humiliated us. Vendors were calling us, laughing. I leaned back, arms crossed. "You excluded me from a wedding I was funding. You didn't think that'd have consequences?" The room went still. My aunt tried to mediate, but Lila cut her off. "We didn't exclude you to be mean," she said. "We had to cut the list. You're not close to us anymore. You're always working, always busy. We didn't think you'd care." Not close? I'd spent Christmases at their house, helped Lila move into her first apartment, and, oh yeah, shelled out $50,000 for her wedding. But I didn't argue. I just listened as they rewrote history, painting me as the distant, vengeful cousin who overreacted. Uncle Dan suggested I make amends by covering the vendor penalties they'd incurred. Greg nodded, saying it was only fair. My aunt slid a piece of paper across the table, a list of fees totaling $8,000. I laughed. Not a chuckle, a full, can't-breathe laugh. They stared, offended. "You think I owe you?" I said. "After you used me and cut me out?" Lila's face reddened. "You didn't have to destroy everything," she snapped. I stood, sliding the paper back. "You destroyed your own wedding when you decided my money mattered more than me. I'm done." I walked out, their voices trailing after me. My aunt called later, pleading for compromise. I blocked her number. I was done playing the family ATM. But Lila wasn't done with me. A week later, I got a notification from my bank. A chargeback attempt for the $25,000 I'd reclaimed. Lila had filed a dispute, claiming I'd stolen the money. I called my lawyer, Sarah, who laughed as hard as I had at the family meeting. "They have no case," she said. "You have receipts, emails, everything. This is desperation." She filed a counterclaim, and the bank dismissed Lila's dispute in days. But the audacity lingered. They weren't just ungrateful, they were vengeful. Then came the social media campaign. Lila posted a long, tearful thread on X, vague enough to avoid legal trouble, but pointed enough to make it clear I was the villain. "Some people will hurt you just because they can," she wrote, "even family." The post got traction. Her friends, Greg's buddies, even distant cousins I hadn't seen in years piled on. "Ungrateful jerk," one comment read. "Money doesn't buy class," said another. I didn't respond. Engaging would only fuel their narrative, but I saved every screenshot just in case. The dust from Lila and Greg's imploded marriage settled faster than I expected. By spring, the family grapevine was buzzing with updates. Greg moved out, Lila kept the apartment, and their backyard wedding photos, already a downgrade from the vineyard fantasy, were scrubbed from social media. I stayed out of it, focusing on my life. My app, a task management tool I'd poured my refunded $25,000 into, was gaining users. Downloads ticked up daily, and a tech blog even gave it a glowing review. For the first time in months, I felt like I was building something, not just cleaning up someone else's mess. But family drama has a way of creeping back, like mold you thought you'd scrubbed clean. It started with a text from my cousin Nate, the neutral one who tipped me off about Lila and Greg's split. "Heads up," he wrote. "Lila's planning something. Not sure what, but she's been asking about you." I thanked him and braced myself. Lila wasn't the type to let go of a grudge, and I'd humiliated her twice. First by freezing her wedding budget, then by exposing her lies in the family chat. If she was plotting, I needed to be ready. A week later, I got an invitation to another family gathering. This time it wasn't at my aunt's house, but at a neutral spot, a community center rented for reconciliation. The invite, signed by my aunt and uncle, was carefully worded, promising a fresh start and open dialogue. I almost deleted it, but Nate texted again. "She's got something up her sleeve. You should go, just to know what's coming." Sarah, my lawyer, agreed. "Show up, stay calm, and don't sign anything," she advised. So I went, not for reconciliation, but for intel. The community center was a sterile box with fluorescent lights and folding tables. About 20 relatives showed up. Cousins, aunts, uncles, even a few second cousins I barely knew. Lila sat at the head of the room, dressed in a crisp blazer like she was running a board meeting. Greg was notably absent. My aunt opened with the same tired family unity speech, but her eyes kept darting to Lila, like she was waiting for a cue. I sat in the back, sipping bad coffee, scanning the room for allies. Nate gave me a subtle nod from across the table. Lila stood, holding a stack of papers. "Thank you all for coming," she said, voice steady but sharp. "I've been reflecting on what happened last year, and I owe everyone an apology. I made mistakes with the wedding, but I wasn't the only one." She paused, looking directly at me. "Some of us took things too far, and it's time to make things right." I kept my face neutral, but my pulse quickened. This wasn't an apology, it was a setup. She passed out the papers, titled Family Agreement. It was a 2-page document, written in pseudo-legal jargon, asking everyone to commit to mutual respect and financial transparency in future family events. Buried in the fine print was a clause. Any past financial disputes would be forgiven, and no one could pursue retaliatory actions for events prior to the agreement. Translation: sign this, and I'd waive my right to sue Lila for the $25,000 chargeback stunt or any future nonsense. Clever. My aunt urged everyone to read and sign, saying it would heal our wounds. A few cousins nodded, skimming the pages without really reading. Nate caught my eye, shaking his head slightly. I stood holding the unsigned document. "Layla," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "this looks like a contract to erase your accountability. You used my money, excluded me, lied about it, and tried to charge back $25,000. Now you want a free pass?" The room went quiet. Lila's face flushed, but she recovered quickly. "This isn't about me," she said. "It's about moving forward." "Then why is there a clause protecting you from lawsuits?" I asked. Heads turned. People started flipping through the pages, murmuring. My uncle tried to steer the conversation back to healing, but the mood had shifted. A second cousin, Mia, spoke up. "Wait, she tried to charge back $25,000? What's that about?" I didn't need to answer. Nate jumped in, summarizing the wedding fiasco and Lila's social media smear campaign. The room erupted in whispers. Lila's composure cracked. "You're twisting everything," she shouted. "You ruined my wedding out of spite." I stayed calm. "I stopped funding a party I wasn't invited to. You'd have done the same." That hit home. A few relatives nodded, and my aunt looked like she wanted to sink into the floor. The meeting dissolved into chaos, some defending Lila, others grilling her about the chargeback. I slipped out, leaving my unsigned agreement on the table. The next day, Nate called. "Lila's pissed, but you won. Half the family refused to sign after you left." He said Mia and a few others were digging into Lila's story, and the family agreement was dead in the water. But Lila wasn't done. She posted another X thread, this time naming me outright. "Some people will sabotage family to feel powerful. Don't let them fool you." She included a blurry screenshot of an email I'd sent to a vendor, taken out of context to make me look vindictive. The post got some likes, but the comments were mixed. People were starting to question her. I called Sarah. Can she keep doing this? I asked. Sarah reviewed the thread and laughed. She's digging her own grave. Keep documenting, but don't engage. I followed her advice, saving every post and comment. Meanwhile, my app was picking up steam. A local startup incubator reached out, offering mentorship and potential funding. I threw myself into it, pitching to investors and refining features. Work became my shield, keeping Lila's drama at arm's length. But family ties are sticky. My mom, who'd stayed out of the feud, called me one night. Lila's struggling, she said. She lost her job and Greg's not helping with rent. Maybe reach out? I bristled. She's not my responsibility, I said. Mom sighed. I know, but she's family. That word, family, felt like a weapon now. I told Mom I'd think about it, but I already knew my answer. Lila had burned every bridge, and I wasn't rebuilding them. A month later, I got an unexpected email from Lila. No subject line, just a wall of text. She apologized, sort of. I handled the wedding wrong, she wrote. But you didn't have to destroy everything. I'm in a bad place. Can we talk? It felt like another play, but I agreed to meet. At a public cafe, on my terms. She showed up looking drained, no blazer, no notebook, just Lila, raw and unraveling. I didn't think it'd go this far, she said, stirring her coffee. I just wanted the perfect wedding. I didn't soften. You used me, lied, and tried to bury me online. Why should I trust you now? She flinched. I was desperate. Greg pushed me to cut the list, and I thought you wouldn't care. You're always... Fine. That stung. Fine. Like I didn't feel the sting of being erased from her perfect day. I told her the truth. Trust was gone. She could rebuild her life, but not with my money or my forgiveness. She nodded, tears falling, and left without arguing. For once, it felt final. The family's quieter now. Lila's posts have stopped. My app hit 10,000 downloads, and I'm negotiating with a venture capital firm. The wedding feels like a lifetime ago, but it taught me something. Family isn't a blank check. It's a choice, and I choose who gets my loyalty. Lila's not on that list anymore. My phone stays silent. I like it that way. Hey, if you're gripped by this story, hit that subscribe button for more jaw-dropping revenge tales from Revenge Line. Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from.